Hey, it's Michael Knight, the New York Cowboy here, bringing you another exciting episode from the Street Stories NYC series. Tonight, our story is taken from the book The Animal Shelter, and it's entitled Hunter. Jack was working late the night that they brought Hunter into the animal shelter. Hunter looked like a big black wolf, but twice the size of any normal wolf. Jack wasn't really sure if he was a dog or a wolf. He had big black eyes, and his mouth looked like a buzzsaw with those large teeth in his mouth. His paws were also very large, and when the animal control men brought him in unconscious, Hunter looked like he weighed a ton because it took 6 men to bring him in. Jack noticed that Hunter had a large silver chain around his neck, and there was a small tag hanging on it that told that his name was Hunter. When Jack saw the tag, he couldn't even fathom that this beast belonged to someone. Jack had never seen a wolf this big, and he wasn't sure that this was a full-breed wolf. Hunter's head was as big as a bowling ball, and when Jack locked the cage, he sighed a sigh of relief. He thought that if that beast woke up, they wouldn't be able to handle him. The next morning when Jack came in, the whole shelter was buzzing with excitement. You could hear Hunter howling and growling throughout the building. When Jack got close to the cage, he was even more frightened when he saw Hunter standing on all fours. He was ferocious. As the day went on, Hunter calmed down, and Jack tried to get close enough to get a good look at him. Hunter's eyes looked like they peered right into hell. It was almost hypnotic to look into his eyes. Jack would sneak a few pieces of meat out of the kitchen and toss them to Hunter to try to make friends with him. Hunter took the meat, but Jack realized that it wasn't going to be a quick process winning Hunter over. The manager of the shelter, Dick, came over and asked Jack, "How's it going today, Jack?" "Well, all is quiet and normal except for this huge monster that you have caged here," answered Jack. "He won't be here that long. The police are running some tests to see if he's the one that has killed 4 people in the last few days in Brooklyn and Queens. Once they find out if it's him or not, then they'll decide if he lives or dies. Another thing, don't get too close to him. They're also testing him for rabies," Dick told him. Jack nodded and thought to himself, "Thank goodness I didn't try to touch the beast, because I sure wouldn't want to get rabies." Most employees at the shelter were required to get the vaccine for rabies at the time that they were hired. Dick told Jack just before he left that he would like to talk to him later in his office after lunch. Jack said okay and thought, what is he going to break my chops about now? Just then a woman came into the office and announced, "My name is Gypsy. Do you have my baby here?" Dick looked up at her and figured that she meant a cat or a dog, and he said, "What does your pet look like, ma'am?" "He's a very large wolf with a solid silver chain around his neck," she answered. Dick couldn't believe his ears. "Well, that animal is under investigation. I'm afraid that I can't let you near him until I hear from the NYPD, said Dick. "Please, sir, you have to let him out of here. He can't stay in that form for so long," said Gypsy. "I can't say that I understand why anyone would keep a giant wolf like that for a pet, but here in New York, I expect anything," said Dick. She grabbed his hand and looked at the palm of his hand, and her eyes widened. "You are the next one. Please, just let me take him out of here," said Gypsy. "Listen, ma'am, he's safe in here, and we have to make sure that he doesn't have a disease and that he's not responsible for the death of some people," responded Dick. "He's like my son, like a member of the family," she said as she began to cry. "Give me your phone number and I will let you know as soon as I know something," said Dick. "It will be too late then. You must make sure to take the silver chain from around his neck when he's sleeping before anything else can happen. The mark in your hand means that you are a direct descendant of my people and you are in danger." "Do you have family from Transylvania?" asked Gypsy. "I do, but how could you know that?" asked Dick. "There's no time. Just do as I ask," she said as she turned and scurried out of the door. Dick watched as she left, and he shook his head and said, "Now I've seen and heard it all." The day turned to night, and Dick decided to take a look at Hunter. When he got to the cage, he could see that the animal was sleeping. He thought about the old woman's words as he gazed at the silver chain around the wolf's neck. He started towards the door when he heard a deep rumbling growl, and by the time he could jump back, Hunter was at the cage door snapping at him. Dick could just envision those large canines ripping into his flesh, and he shuddered. That old lady was crazy anyway. What was I thinking, he asked himself. Jack came by to see what the commotion was, and Jack reminded Dick that he had said he wanted to see him in his office. It had completely slipped his mind, but now that Jack refreshed his memory, Dick said, "Okay, we can take care of that now." Jack followed Dick into the office, and Dick said, "Have a seat, Jack." "So what's up?" asked Jack. "Well, Jack, you haven't been with us very long, and in that short time there have been numerous complaints about your work and your treatment of the animals," said Dick. Jack jumped up out of his chair and shouted, "I'm a damn good worker, and these are just animals that nobody wants in this dump." Dick looked at him calmly and said, "I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I think it's best that you gather up your belongings and move on." Jack was furious, and he said, "I'm going to need my money tonight so that I don't have to come back here ever again." "Well, the checks will be delivered later this evening, so if you'd like, you can come back and pick up your check in the morning," responded Dick. "No! I'll be back later to get my money," said Jack angrily. The phone rang and interrupted Dick, and Jack walked out of the room. The police were on the phone, and they told Dick that they would be by late that night because the lab needed another sample of blood from Hunter because they found something strange in his blood. Dick wasn't watching Jack as he went down by Hunter's cage. The animal was laying down in the back of the cage, and Jack tossed him a couple pieces of meat. "I need you to do something for me, big fella," said Jack as if the animal understood him. He tossed in 2 more pieces of meat, and he unlocked the cage and opened the door just a little bit. He quickly ran and got his belongings. He told Dick, "I'll be back about 10 for my money," as he exited the building. In a little while, Dick went to check on the animals and make his rounds. As he rounded the corner, he could see that one cage door was wide open. He trembled, and his blood froze in his veins as he realized that it was Hunter's cage. Dick turned to run back to the office to call 911 when he heard the sound of large paws running behind him. Dick ran as fast as he could to get into the office, but before he could close the door, Hunter was inside the door. Dick tried to make it to the bathroom where he could lock himself in until help came, but before he could close the door, Hunter bit down deeply into his calf muscle. "Arrgh!" screamed Dick. But even through the pain, Dick was able to take his other foot and kick Hunter as hard as he could in the face until Hunter let go, giving Dick a chance to slam the door and lock it. Dick could hear Hunter scratching and clawing away at the door, and he wondered how long it would be before he got in. Dick's cell phone was out on the office table, and now he was trapped inside with no way to get help. He was deathly afraid that he might now have rabies, and he dreaded even thinking about getting the shots. He hated needles. Hours went by, and Dick was losing a lot of blood. It had gotten quiet outside, and Dick was tempted to open the door to get to the phone. Then suddenly the phone rang, and the answer machine picked up, and Dick could hear Jack's voice saying, "I'm outside, and I'm coming in for my check." Dick wanted to warn Jack, not realizing that Jack was the one that let Hunter out, but he couldn't chance leaving the safety of the bathroom. Jack walked into the building, and he looked down the hall smiling when he saw Hunter's cage wide open. He figured that Dick must have gotten a good scare, but he thought that Dick got the tranquilizer gun and put the wolf back to sleep. It wasn't until he got to the office and saw the blood on the floor that he realized that something was wrong. Then he heard a noise behind him. He turned and looked straight into those hellish eyes and those flared nostrils and those huge teeth dripping with saliva and blood. That was the last thing he ever saw. Dick had almost lost consciousness when he heard voices and gunfire. An officer came to the door and asked, "Is anyone in there?" Dick crawled out just in time to get out front when one officer said, "It's still alive!" and the police fired relentlessly at Hunter. One of the bullets hit the silver chain on his neck, and Hunter and the chain fell to the floor. Just then, right before everyone's eyes, Hunter turned into a naked man on the floor full of bullet holes. The police captain said, "Nobody's going to believe this." Dick stayed in the hospital for a week and his wound healed up exceptionally quickly and miraculously. Dick got dressed to get checked out of the hospital and the nurse came in. "You'll have to sign this form, please," said the nurse. Dick signed and the nurse looked at his signature and said, "Dick Wolf? Well, that's an unusual name." "Oh, our family name goes way back to our old country of Transylvania. Anyway, thank you for all of your help and be careful out there tonight. There's a full moon and it's going to be a hell of a Halloween night, you know," said Dick as he rushed from the room, feeling his body beginning to grow fur and his canines beginning to grow. Hey, it's Michael Knight thanking you again for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget you can get the ebooks on Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Noble. Alright, you can also go directly to the website, Street Stories NYC. You can watch other videos also on the website. Download your ebook today. There's 44 books in the series. Thanks again.